States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful that we are able to come and spend today as we get ready to budget for the expenses for Wells County. Please be with us and help us to make the right decisions on behalf of those that we represent. We ask you to continue to watch over those who fight for our freedoms to be able to do the work that we're able to do today. We say these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So, all right, the first one on the docket to get us started today are the commissioners. President Stringer, if you want to come up.
How are you this morning?
Good morning. All right, if you want to just kind of walk us through the highlights of your budget.
I don't know if there's any highlights other than, we took that pretty serious about cutting it out. So I think we led by example this year. Me and Lisa sat down, the commissioners went through it and tried to cut out whatever wasn't a need, not a lot of wants in there. The commissioner's lit budget, though, covers a lot of things that we don't have control over. So it's not like it's a across-the-board cut, but mostly only essentials in there. I don't know if there's line items you want to go over, or...
You just want to talk a little bit, I know Lisa gave me an update when I already asked her about, but the bridge inspections are about $114,000 more for this year.
It's just the cost, right? Just the cost.
The bridges that we have to, are there more bridges that we're going to be doing this year because we have to, or?
Yeah, it's on that schedule, so
Okay.
the cost of the inspection went up and then repairs will go up. But we did this last year, Lisa, where we sat with Nate and went through and just, we were on a cadence of bridges that Rumschlag had us on to get them all repaired, and Blake has probably a better idea because we hadn't done them for so long. Now we've caught up that there's not that spend as much, but everything in the economies went up, so the cost of the bridge inspections have gone up also.
And we get reimbursed for 80% of that.
Right.
So there's also,
Oh, okay.
yes, when I put 149, then I also put 80% of that into our estimated revenue.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
But when you start looking at some of our fix that comes out of lit is workman's comp, unemployment, group health insurance, retirement, social security. You start looking at that, that's the biggest portion of the commissioner's budget.
What's going on with the animal shelter, Jeff?
Well, Seth might have a little more than that on what we're gonna try to do with the animal shelter. We're gonna try to do a trade, but I still have some contention. I mean, we've got AJ Springer over there now. He's on the board. So we have a say. It's going better, but it's still, in my eyes, it's still something that's ran by the city and paid for by the county. I still get complaints that we're not getting the coverage outside, mostly the city limits, but it's supposed to be all over. But it is better than what it was, but I think the costs are about the same.
Do you know, Lisa, would the animal shelter be something, if we're going to add additional funds to public safety lit, could that be paid out of public safety lit? Because if we're
know
going
if
to move
it
those tax credits, does that qualify the animal shelter for public
I think
safety or
that
not?
would qualify for public
It doesn't.
safety. You could pay.
Sure sounds like it. If a dog is gonna bite me, that's a safety issue.
If
Okay.
it involved,
I guess it's
involved
how you
sheriffs and
spin
police
it, yes.
departments, I didn't know if that would.
Well, we should push that. If Kyle's gonna run it and it's under public safety, we should at least ask.
We do have to cut about 600 out of our budget, so if we're gonna put all that extra money into public safety with the changes we're looking to make coming up, if we could take it out of the general, move it to that could help
That could help.
alleviate some of that stuff. We'll check into that. And then do you want to give just a couple, I know over the years, we've upped the cemetery maintenance. Is that working out well? Is there?
Yeah, there's questions. So we're gonna open bid the cemetery repairs again. There's a question about the group that's doing it now, billing in advance, what they're finishing. The quality of the work looks good, but the cemetery board as a whole, we're gonna revamp. Jerry's up this year. I don't think she's gonna go back on the board and get a board that's more proactive and wants to follow the rules. We're always kind of looking at Lisa, but we're always trying to keep them within the bumper rails every time they come in of, hey, we want to get paid, but we'll finish the work next year. That's not how it works.
Pay as you go.
Yep, pay as you go.
Okay. thank you for putting the effort into cutting what you can, because I know you're kind of limited with a lot of your budget where you can, but
Lisa, what was the percentage by the time we were done? We had a pretty hefty percentage that was reduced.
For lit, you were,
35%. Right? Or maybe not, more than that.
the first budget, yeah, you cut quite a little bit, because in 2026, the pool and the RSD was budgeted. But from their proposed budget to the 15% budget, I think it was 14 and a half, 15%.
That's probably one to note.
I was asking for 15%, so.
Yeah, RSD, that's one that should be noted why it's not in here. They haven't started on the one in Toxin yet, and they've had those funds for a while. They've actually billed twice, going up on their third billing, and we can't get a hold of VTF, so as the commissioners, we're gonna follow up. That's our funds we talked about in the commissioner meeting Monday, that we're gonna call VTF and say, hey, and talk to Bruce with RSD about how are we holding these people accountable. They've got the money, they're sitting on the money, but yet we haven't had any action, so can't be taxing people for a service that they're not getting service from.
And I know I can go over it later, being president of the New Economic Development Corporation and the budget, but do you want to talk a little bit about how that's going now that we have had one full year really
Yeah.
under our belt with having it separated?
So, I think if you ask everybody, even, here's a testament to what it is Markle is asking to come back in. They want Jessica to be their representative, and they had Chad for a while, then they have Chris from Huntington County, and Jessica's the only one that'll help them. So they're back at, hey, can we join the economic development? And then we also spun it off that it's its own standalone 501c3 or 501c6, whatever. So it's its own corporation now, set up exactly how it's supposed to be, running well. We're pulling tourism into that. And I don't know if you've spent any time with Jessica, but she's killing it. I mean, actually to the point that I was down at the state in May sometime, and Braun's EDC people come over and said, hey, is there a chance you could help us to recruit Jessica to the state? And I said, no. So
Can't
she's,
have
for being there 1 year, she's being recognized at the regional level and at the state level, and she's just making it happen. We've got more looks, more people, more accountability. We know there's none of this hiding like we had before where you couldn't find out what's going on. She's pretty transparent. She keeps us informed as a board, I think, us on that board, and just proactive. And I think the community loves having somebody out there that's really out in front, showing what's going on. And she's an advocate for growing tourism, new employment, helping existing employment. She's just been a good advocate. So if you haven't talked to her, spend some time with her.
Reiterate the same, so.
All right.
Any other questions for Commissioner Stringer?
Where's you're missing a couple.
Todd Monsmith, with the weather being so bad with his work, he's
Busy.
out paving. And then Scott LZ had conflict, so. But yeah.
All right,
Well, thank you, Jeff.
thanks.
Solid waste is next. Commissioner Gerber, if you want to come up.
Maybe not quite that long, but it's pretty short. I think the whole thing we have is the board members, the controller, the plant manager, the laborers are really the only thing on this line item. So scheduled in at 3%. I think the wages for the manager was 3.5%, but
That's because he's on a matrix.
I'm sorry?
Because he's on the.
Because on the matrix, correct, yeah. Didn't know if you had any other questions. We get a up-to-date count every month when he comes in, and seems like we're doing well. Long-term plan, we thought we would have more repairs with the building, and found out it was a drainage issue. Football was stuck in the gutter. So cleaned it out and it's working good, so no money's coming out for that, but other than that, Kevin's doing a good job.
Seems straightforward to me. Anybody else have any questions for Commissioner Gerber? Thank you.
Thanks. I did have one question. I alluded it to Jeff earlier. there's discussion in regards to elevator at the courthouse. Just put it on your radar. The thing's been there for 40 or 50 years, so there might be a need for an upgrade. We're just trying to follow Otis's recommendations, and there's some expenses that might have to be incurred, and kind of just trying to buy time. So FYI, just keep it on your radar.
Thank you.
Like,
All right, next highway.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
morning.
Yeah, if you wanted to start walking through really the highlights of your budget, I know there's some ideas you had during the last meeting or maybe 2 meetings ago. So if you want to kind of walk through this time to kind of,
Yep, we'll discuss some of that. There may be some things that are a little bit different, but, give me a moment here to get this pulled up. All right, I'm gonna start at the top and just walk down through. So the first thing is, the lit road and bridges, I still have at 750,000.
which one do you want?
This is 1112.
This is in the Commissioner's Lit
Oh,
Economic Development.
okay. Yeah.
So no change there. And then moving to 1135, which is Cume Ridge. We've got an increase, not in the fund, but in the line item for bridge maintenance, to 100,000. One thing that we've noticed this year is we have several locations that are starting to collect debris. We addressed one of them this year, but I know there's at least 2 or 3 that I'd like to try to address next year, so I'd like to budget some funds in bridge maintenance and Cume Bridge for that. Overall, the fund has decreased, and that's mainly due to the fact that there was not a local match that I was using Cume Bridge for in '27. Moving to 1169. We'll talk about some of the high points here. I know there's one in particular that will be a topic of discussion, but I'll hit some of the high points that I have flagged. The stone, sand, and salt budget bumping up from 40,000 to 55. That 55,000 is based off of actual unit prices and anticipated tonnages. The next significant increase that I'm seeing is in other supplies / grater blades. We had purchased quite a bit of inventory in grater blades and had been kind of using up some of that inventory and didn't have to purchase tons and tons of them over the last few years. But we've burnt through that inventory, and it's now trying to budget for what we're gonna use annually. And that's coupled with the fact that those blades have like carbide edges on them. And carbide, for whatever reason, has taken a pretty sharp incline in price. So this is trying to forecast the amount we're gonna need for next year with the current unit prices. And then the one I'm sure that we all want to discuss is the highway equipment budget. Pretty big red flag there. I'm gonna let Matt speak to that a little bit, and I have some other supporting documentation that I've brought along that I had been working on since submitting the budget. So I wasn't able to get that out to you guys to review ahead of time, so I went ahead and printed off what I had to bring for you guys to look at. But Matt, if you kind of want to speak to what we're thinking on the highway equipment budget.
Currently, our truck fleet has aged past its useful life. We currently have 3 trucks that are down. One that is not coming back up because the bed is done. It's a 1998. The second one is a 1994, the gearbox. We're gonna try to put it together ourselves, take it apart. You cannot buy new ones for it anymore. So we're gonna order seals, and our mechanics are gonna take some time and try to get it back on the road. Truck number 5 is a 2012. It is sitting at Selkings. By the time we put this next $3,600 into it, we will surpass 10 grand this year just in that truck as a 2012. Truck 25 is down again. Stoops is there now. It looks like it's the computer itself in the truck. Most of our trucks, a good chunk of our trucks are past the 12-year lifespan. We have not caught up with it. Some of those trucks are trucks that were kept around because there was a fear of getting a truck dirty by using it. And so we are working past that with the gentleman. But at this time, we do not have enough trucks to cover all of our snowplow routes this winter. And that includes using 2 tractors and 2 road graders. At some point in time, we need to start getting away from running our road graders as plows. They are about $550,000 a piece. And they were both bought at the same time, so we need to get those off the road and start using them for what they're intended for, one at a time, to keep the hours down, so we can get them off the same cycle of replacement, so they do not come due at the same time.
So is there a way to start to map out some of this, say over the next 5 years, we get a rotation going? Okay. That helps to understand.
It's gonna take longer than 5 years.
Well, it could be 10, but just so we're not replacing all of them in 1 year.
Correct, we're looking at it's gonna take us about 10 years to get all of our trucks on a 12-year rotation.
I actually did not bring you on, I apologize.
We're missing 2 people, so I bet you did.
Definitely have this one.
Thank you.
Not only our trucks are what we do every day, but the other equipment that allows us to replace pipes, do road conversions, that's your road graders, the excavators, the loaders. The one loader I have in here that I would like to purchase next year, it'd be a used unit. The loader it'll replace is a 1996. Those 2 loaders, not just loading materials at our shop, but those are the pieces of equipment that go out and remove the down trees that we've had in recent months with the storms. And currently, we only have one that can really go out and do that. The other one, you'd be able to follow around the county by the hydraulic fluid it leaks.
So the equipment budget is for all of our equipment, not just trucks. But the trucks are what we use every day, day in and day out. They're the most critical piece of equipment in our fleet. So what I've got here is just something that kind of shows what a few different scenarios look like as far as trying to correct how far behind the replacement curve we are. Like Matt said, he mentioned 12 years. You know, he and I talked, I said, hey, when we were at NDOT, what did they look at for their trucks? And he said 10 years. And I said, okay, so county, we're maybe putting less miles on them. Maybe we get a little bit more life out of them. We shoot for that 12 to 14 year mark. But like right now, I mean, we've got half a dozen trucks that are approaching or past 20 years. I mean, and like Matt's saying, a lot of the stuff that's going wrong with those trucks now, they don't even make parts for them anymore. So we're hunting all over the region for rebuilt parts to try to limp these trucks along that, you know, you get them back up and running and the next month it's a different problem. So this scenario, the first sheet's just kind of a summary sheet, and I think it's gonna show you the bulk of what you need to know, but there's a couple different scenarios. There's 1 replacement a year, 2 replacements a year, something I called 1.5 per year, where that's maybe we buy 2 chassis, but 1 upfit, because it's kind of 2 different purchases there. And then there's kind of a recommended balanced approach where it takes into account the age of the truck. So like some years we might buy 1 truck and 1 chassis, some years we might buy 2 chassis and 1 upfit. So that green recommended balanced approach is, if you look over to almost the far right column, but the second to far right column, the average annual cost, it has the lowest annual average cost. And it also is very near, it's not quite, the 2 trucks per year is the lowest overall acquisition cost, but obviously that's the hardest one to kind of get going on, is replacing 2 a year. So it's just some things to think about, but the thing that we really wanted to highlight here is, you know, our equipment budget has been $350,000, $400,000 a year. And we're so far behind on getting these trucks to a maintainable level that it's gonna take close to $500,000 a year on average just to get them to that, hey, we don't have a truck that's older than 12 years anymore. So, you have anything else to add on that?
Chassis currently are running about $150,000 just for the chassis. The upfit kits, I've received budgetary quotes from both Kalila and W.A. Jones, who have been our two primary suppliers. The cheapest upfit kit budgetary quote I received was $179,900. The most expensive was $225,000.
So this hopefully takes those numbers, those were the most recent numbers that I had Matt get, and I try to incorporate those into this. This does assume a 3% inflation a year. Who knows what truck prices are gonna do? We know that everything is not just a nice uniform 3 or 4%. You know, some years trucks might go up 7%, and other years they go up 3%. So, but yeah, if you guys look over this and in, you know, the next few days or coming weeks, you guys have questions or you have alternate ideas, but this is a major thing that's, I mean, it's already slowing us down and causing us undue burden, but it's gonna get worse if we don't start doing something about it. I mean, even at replacing one truck per year, I mean, you can see that top scenario, it never gets to the age of truck that we want. It's never gonna get us there to that 12 to 14 year mark.
Do new trucks, are they more fuel efficient than old trucks?
So currently, no, yes and no. And I'm sorry, Steve, that's not the quite right answer. Right now, we are able, and it's come out that we will be able to continue to buy the same engine we've been able to get for another year through Cummins. They've decided to push off their new engine because of the EPA standards, but in that same retrospect, when the new engine comes out, I don't see us getting the same amount of efficiency. But at the same time, when that new engine does come out, it's gonna be a lot higher cost. We'll still continue to get the L9 engine that we have, but it will cost us a little more because Cummins is gonna start paying the EPA penalties. So that's where some of the cost comes in with that chassis.
So there's regulations that make these things a little less fuel efficient? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I mean, if they're anything like my personal diesel pickup truck, they've gotten to the point where the technology makes the engine more fuel efficient,
Yeah.
but the emissions equipment that they put on them
Yeah,
basically negates all that.
right.
I mean, if you remove the emissions stuff off of new diesel pickup trucks, I mean, you gain a substantial increase in
Yeah.
fuel economy.
Which was the hope, but then regulation comes on top.
Right.
Correct, and that's some of what we're having issues with now today with truck 25, it's a 2014. The DEF system that's on it, that diesel emission fluid system. We have Stoops down right now, so that's a road service charge that they're gonna end up charging us because we can't move it, it's in B rate, is what we call it.
Well, the hope was that technology would help makes things more efficient over time, but.
Technology did, and emissions.
Go,
standards.
yeah.
I got you. I'm with you.
Yep.
So that average annual cost of 504,000, that's to replace 2 trucks?
That's kind of a hybrid. It says in the annual replacement rate, the second from left column, that's approximately 1.3 trucks per year. So
Yeah, okay.
some years it's 2, some years it's 2 chassis and 1 upfit.
Okay, mix and matching kind of deal? Okay.
So if you're looking at the numbers though, based on what you're presented versus the revenue that comes in to fund that category, you're still about a $400,000 deficit. So options for closing that, Commissioner Gerber, I don't know if you're available, but I know there's been talk about wheel tax, there's been talk about, I know agriculture's been tearing up a lot of roads from at least pictures that have been sent to me. So we just have to start to figure out how do we close that budget gap if you're wanting to be able to start to replace a lot of the trucks. And where's that money gonna come from within that budget?
So I'm looking at that. I have another very elaborate spreadsheet that I'm trying to work through where you can look at different scenarios, but, the discussion on the road damage and stuff and trying to evaluate, do we need to make some changes to the wheel tax rates for the vehicles that are causing more damage than others, sort of thing. So it's in the works.
Okay.
It's a ton of information to process, I will say that.
The other side of this too is, we currently have 2 tractors that they plow snow, but in the summer they pull road maintainers. Those road maintainers were bought around 1986. We've had discussions at the office of doing away with those 2 tractors and those 2 maintainers. The budgetary quote I got from the maintainers was $51,000 apiece. Each tractor is about $155,000 apiece. But by the time we replace the trucks we have in our fleet, we can downsize those 4 pieces of equipment, possibly turn those 4 pieces into 1 truck. The other side of it too is, and this is very unpopular with my more tenured folks, we have to change how we do business. And one of those changes is I'm looking at getting rid of our backhoe and turning it into a second excavator. Expediency. The things that get us the most in budget is manpower, machinery, and materials. And we've got to become more efficient.
I appreciate all that you guys are doing. I mean, in putting together a plan like this, we just have to figure out on the back end how we fund it.
Yeah.
You're referring to, Commissioner?
What is the deadline if we want to implement something for 27?
I don't know if it's September or October.
So it'd be coming up.
Act on it quickly
Correct.
if we want it for next year.
That's correct. Yeah.
So I guess my concern is I don't want to propose something that's not right. So I'm analyzing and overanalyzing everything, but I,
To screw something up.
Yeah.
I get that, but within that bucket of money, you're only funded so much, and then how do you live within it without getting either more revenue or cutting the expenses? So I love the plan, it's just how do we execute on it to be able to afford to make it work?
so I don't want to get too far off topic because this is the budget meeting and now we're kind of talking about revenue and, the wheel tax is a large part of that revenue. But kind of what I'm seeing initially is that such a large portion of the wheel tax comes from just everybody's daily drivers. And my idea was, hey, the large vehicles, the semis and stuff that are causing most of the damage to the roads maybe need to be paying more in wheel tax to offset that. I mean, even if you max them out, the everyday drivers are still the ones footing most of the
I think
bill.
for ag, there's an exemption for them, period, right? They're not even paying wheel tax, or do they pay some?
Well, surtax. Oh, you're saying ag. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about just normal vehicles. Yeah, you're right. If it's not plated, there's no wheel tax. And unfortunately, that's a,
Equipment that's been, at least pictures people have sent me, constituents to show.
yeah,
They're-
and that's where I've said, like, that would be a legislative change. If
That's not-
legislation was passed to,
So that's not even, okay.
Correct, they're running on off-road diesel, the big equipment, so they're not even paying the road tax to begin with through the fuel.
Okay.
yeah, off-road diesel and no plates.
Well, we can tackle that. I know that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole because we could be here all day on it, so thank you.
Yep.
Looks like
We do
October.
appreciate that you're bringing us the equipment information, because there has been in the last couple of years, we've asked for, show us a plan. And we want to make sure that you have what you need. It's just budget-wise, we're not always sure we can get it to you. But we appreciate you getting this information and everything that you said today.
And Lisa just verified you have till October 15th.
Okay, well, that's good because for some reason September was sticking in my mind as well,
It
so I
says
was like,
September 1st is to adopt. To make changes it's October 15th.
So you can
oh,
change
okay,
it.
I got you. That's where I saw the September date was adoption.
Yep.
'Cause I was,
It can give you the chance to work on some of that to figure out.
yeah,
Okay,
good deal.
thank you.
Got an extra month.
And when you put this together, did you have in the back of your mind a plan to close this 387,509? Is that the number you're seeing as far as the budgetary shortfall?
Sorry, where's the 387,509?
He doesn't have it.
Okay,
He
okay.
does not have that. It's
Seth, is that what you were referring to?
Yeah,
Right,
because
so,
that's the revenue that comes in to fund that account.
yeah, that's what we're referring to.
And I would appreciate knowing where I can find that because I'm not sure where to find that.
It's just in our budget paperwork. I'm gonna make you a copy.
Make you a copy.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
That's really what we have to operate within.
Sure.
Otherwise,
Because everything gets funded out of that account.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's not a way to manipulate a whole lot, other than increasing.
So I didn't have that number in the back of my mind to answer your question. In the back of my mind, I thought, I'm gonna tell council what we need and why, and maybe you guys
Yeah.
are the ones that say, hey, we're gonna have to move something around, or whatever.
And you could always.
so just to sum it up, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, he has until September 15th,
October.
October.
excuse me,
15th.
October
They
15th,
want to change
to
the-
close this gap,
Well,
to
he
figure
would
out a
have to-
way.
Yes, he would have to get it to you by your October meeting to meet that deadline.
So he has to get an answer to us by October,
First Tuesday in October.
first Tuesday in October.
I don't know, does.
I mean, that would
have to-
essentially be a wheel tax proposal
does Ted have to do
Okay.
change.
new ordinance?
And, I mean, it would be great to know if, what the tax would look like, and would it actually cover the gap? How high, and, you know, if we max it out, are we covering an addition, what are we gonna,
Yeah,
are we solving a problem or not?
off the cuff, I don't know that we can get there.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Okay, so
That's without having way more information in front of me, but
now that you have this number, and Lisa can help you with that,
So, yeah,
you may have to make an adjustment to the equipment plan that you
Sure.
can work within. But I don't really want to go through another budget cycle without beginning to solve the problem that you guys are talking about.
absolutely.
I don't want to just throw up my hands and say, well, we can't do it because we can't afford it, and then the 94 truck is still sitting there, the 98 truck is still sitting there, and nothing is solved.
Yep.
So that's my want.
and Lisa just pointed out, we do have quite a bit of money in Cume Capital, so we do have the ability to help, with the truck here or there. out of that.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit of
And
money
you
sitting
get,
there,
every year you get over 800,000 in revenue.
So,
added to
It would
Cume Fund.
still be accumulating. as-
so that,
So we do have, we could work with commissioners on that. We do have a way to probably pull some of the funds.
and if
into
you can imagine
this.
the age of the trucks, I talked about, those half a dozen trucks that are really like way behind the curve. If there's a one-time thing where maybe it's a truck or two that isn't normally budgeted with something like that, help from you guys from another fund, that really shifts the curve. Like, that changes
Right.
the whole thing.
I do think we might have an idea there,
Okay,
so we'll work on that.
excellent, appreciate it. All right, I'll go ahead and jump down to 1176 now. The first line, the mechanic line, the reason for the large jump from 26 to 27 is because we currently have a vacant position, and that vacant position was slotted as a mechanic, so technically, there are 3 positions in that line instead of 2, so it looks like it increased, but those funds actually came from another line, if that makes sense. It was a classification change, and it's kind of a placeholder now because it's a vacant position, so we've got some flexibility there, but that is the reason that the dollar amount changed so significantly there. Group health insurance actually is showing a decrease. I had some more data to go off of this year, so I felt comfortable with what I proposed there at the 345. I'm showing about a 13% a year increase on that over the last couple years, so that's the number I used to project. I mean, obviously, we don't know what that number's gonna be. I'm just trying to guesstimate. The next big one is gas, oil, and lube line. Went from 250,000 to 400,000. I know that seems high, but we all know where fuel prices are and kind of what they're doing, especially diesel. I looked back, and when it would have been probably May numbers, but in June of '25, when we set the $250,000 budget request, building the '26 budget, diesel was $3.49 a gallon, and when we did it this year, it was $5.60 a gallon. So you kind of do that and assume it, you know, it may go down, but it could go up. That was kind of a safe number, but I think we could probably do a little bit less, but that's trying to not come back, I guess, when we're 3/4 of the way through the year and we're gonna run out of fuel money and having to request more and not know where it's gonna come from.
But when you're dealing with something as volatile as what energy prices are, especially now, I'm not concerned that if if we lower that number and then you come back because you actually do need the additional versus let's inflate it and just see where we go.
Right.
So we'll,
Okay.
you can look at that as a council when we have to cut 600 out of our budget.
Yeah.
That is the number, by the way, just council members, 600,000 we do need to cut, so.
Well, if you guys want to jot a note down, I think technically 350 is what that came to as far as a projected need. So moving down a little bit, there were a couple, when I was reviewing this the other day, I found 2 typos that were right next to each other. Office, record, and supplies. I believe what you guys are looking at shows 20,000 for that. That should have been 2,000. Does it show 20,000 for you?
What line was that?
Office, record, and supplies.
I see it.
Second.
So the 20,000 is not correct?
No, it should be 2,000.
Gotcha.
My fingers got a little fast there. And the very next line for postage should not be 15,000, it should be 1,500.
Postage, 1,500, gotcha.
Moving down a couple lines to software maintenance, that went up again. With Matt coming on board and our new mechanic that we have, we've identified some needs as far as software for the fleet, and that kind of also comes hand in hand with taking on the servicing of the county fleet. There are additional softwares. It's ProDemand, the Allison software, and then the Cummins Insight software. And that's just to be able to plug in and do diagnostics on more vehicles than what we originally had since we were taking on the additional county fleet.
That's on the maintenance line?
It is software maintenance, yep.
Software maintenance,
Rest of the stuff is mostly like inflation. I just inflated. Don't see anything significant.
Did you talk about, back on the first page, the supplies? It was 268,000 last year, it's 420,000 this year. Did you mention that? It would be on the 1176, the first page, it's,
That's the total of the gas, oil, and wood.
oh, okay.
Oh,
I gotcha.
just a few things to know. We're down towards the bottom of 1176 in the 531 location. Decreased road repairs, that line, for whatever reason, seems like it was kind of underutilized. So knowing that we were asking for increases in other areas, I tried to, trim anything significant that I saw, so I trimmed that by about 65,000. The paint and road striping, just wanted to let you know, I feel like in the past, a lot of times that was just shooting from the hip, like stick a number in there and like we'll paint what we can with it. I wanted to try to be a little bit more specific with that. So working with Matt on what his chip seal program is year to year, what our plan is moving forward is what we chip this late summer, we're gonna try to put out for bid for striping next spring. That gives time for all the ag to seat well, get through a winter. That way the plows, if we're gonna peel a little ag off with the plows in the wintertime, that's already gone, and then we stripe what's left. So we're actually looking at the mileage that he is chipping 1 year, and budgeting. So that number is, you know, maybe gonna go up and down year to year based on our chip seal program, rather than just sticking a number in there and doing what we can with it. I'm trying to budget for what we actually think we're going to stripe. Same with the chip seal materials line item. It's gonna be a more exact number moving forward because he has his annual chip seal planned out a few years in advance. So we know, you know, next year we might do 72 miles, the following year it might be 65 miles just on that rotation. So we're gonna try to stick the actual number in there rather than just, hey, it's about 850,000.
On the dust day thing, do you get, I mean, I know it's budgeted for 90,000. Is most of that reimbursed? Okay.
Yep. For community crossings, the local match, it's $1 million cap again, so I just budgeted the 20%. So if we're awarded a project, we're prepared to pay that. And the last line item there for road conversions, 250,000. Road conversions right now, it's about 100 and a quarter to convert a mile of road, so we're trying to hit 2 miles a year is what our annual work plan is. So I guess I'll open it up for any other questions you guys have about specific lines.
I had a question, and I don't want to take us too far afoul here, but you had mentioned commercial trucking and the wheel tax. That was something you had brought up about, you know, you've got not necessarily ag, but commercial, or
Right. So
with
they
ag,
don't,
there's nothing we can do. Am I right about that?
there's nothing we can do about any type of vehicle that is permitted to be on the road but not plated and is permitted to run off-road fuel.
Right.
It's a state legislative issue, right?
Yeah.
Right. So when we're talking about commercial trucks, can you just in 30 seconds enlighten me what you're referring to specifically?
When did I say commercial truck?
Maybe you didn't.
Okay,
Maybe-
I don't think I did. I probably said large trucks. I'm thinking,
Okay.
I'm thinking dump trucks, semis carrying freight, semis carrying grain, semis carrying, you name it. Just in, the 80,000 pound vehicles are the ones that are hammering the roads.
And are they not paying, sort of their way? I mean, is the burden entirely on daily drivers for normal people?
You would be shocked if you looked at the numbers in the graph. It is absurd.
Is there something that the county can do about that?
Yes, there is. So there's a legislative cap on what you can put as a wheel tax rate. I believe it's $80.
Okay.
I think large trucks, I'm going off of memory here, it's in my spreadsheet that I'm working on, but I want to say large trucks, and it's in the ordinance that, you know, previous members had passed, but I want to say it's $25. So there's definitely room to increase that, but what I'm saying is the number of plated vehicles in that class that are paying $25, but we could be charging $80, it's so few compared to your daily driver and your daily driver that it's a drop in the bucket. Like, it would increase revenue, but still, like, the majority of the revenue is gonna come from just people's everyday vehicles.
I'll pay you to visit, we'll talk more. I want to learn more about that.
Yeah, and absolutely, if anybody ever wants to drop by, give me a call and sit down, talk about ideas, because the more ideas, the better. I mean, some of them are gonna be bad, some of them are gonna be good, but sometimes it's a combination of 2 or 3 ideas that makes the best solution, so I'm all ears.
Thanks a lot.
Any other questions for him? All right, well, thank you both so much for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Jared, you're up next, sir.
Is the mic up there?
I was wondering the same
But
thing. Is that
they've
mic on?
been really quiet.
You can
It just
hear
looks.
it.
I haven't seen a picture.
Talk into it.
Yeah. Get into it.
Just get it close.
Show 'em to me.
We hear that at plan commission meetings all the time, that you have to actually talk into the microphone. Good morning. I guess on the regular budget and on the 15% reduction budget, I had some conversations with Seth about like kind of lumping the drainage board, my office, and the section corner fund all together. There's a lot of overlap from one budget to the other. My deputy is the drainage board secretary. The postage for notices comes out of the drainage board budget. There's a lot of overlap, so in order to try to make that, I guess I'll talk about that together, even though they are three separate budgets. So, on my kind of business as usual budget, I did actually have a small decrease from last year in that budget. That is mainly attributed to my longtime employee who was at the top of the pay scale, retired earlier this year, and I hired a new person that's, starts at the bottom of the pay scale. So there was a savings there. Did increase, I did ask for 3% across the board increases. I did increase the training, and a couple reasons for that. One is the elected official training fund that is a dedicated fund, comes from a user fee. That is down, my understanding, and so we're going to have less money to use in that. And the second part is hiring a new person. The training is not just for me, it's for me and staff. So there's probably going to be training that she's going to need to attend or do online or whatever. I will say that she's been really good about, looking at YouTube videos and those types of things to figure out different things on GIS, but there's YouTube videos can only go so far. There's times that you need training, so. One of the other things, and for years I have been a member, and mainly so that I can get continuing ed through them, it's ISPLS, which is the Indiana Society of Professional Land Surveyors. I was always able to be a member of that as an affiliate member because I wasn't licensed. Now that I am, I have to pay the full membership dues, and so there's a small increase in that as well. A lot of my continuing ed, I can get through that organization. There are discounts for the continuing ed if you're a member versus if you're not. So I guess on the drainage board budget, a couple of maybe highlights on that. A couple years ago, we had actually budgeted, when they went to an evening meeting, we had budgeted for myself, the board members, and the secretary to just receive a per diem rather than using comp time for the drainage board secretary. You guys had decided to just do the comp time for those after-hours meetings for the secretary. That was still budgeted in there. The money was there to do it. It just wasn't being used, and so we did actually lower the per diem in the business as usual to just cover the three board members and myself. Usually there are some members that will miss a meeting throughout the year. That happens. There are times that we cancel meetings for either a lack of business or there's a conflict, whatever. So that's not always we don't always use the full amount anyway, so I felt pretty confident lowering that. We have in the past occasionally had to have special meetings that we, either an emergency or there was some development that needed some action taken. So I didn't want to cut it clear back to the skeleton, but we did cut that back a little bit. I guess, do you guys want to talk a little bit about the kind of that 15% reduction? What I had proposed, had some conversations at the drainage board level. One way to help reach that would be to go to one meeting per month. We would change our meeting time to be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, essentially at the same time that solid waste would meet, but we would meet the opposite meeting of solid waste. So solid waste meets the second meeting of the month, we would have our meeting on the first meeting of the month with the commissioner meeting. But we would be at 4 o'clock. That would actually eliminate the per diem for me. And so that would save a little bit. It would save a little bit on attorney costs because he would only be attending 1 meeting a month instead of 2. I think we only reduced the attorney bill by about 25% because there's still going to be things that he's going to have to do outside of the meetings.
I appreciate you.
And then we did, in that 15%, shift a little bit of, could there be some things paid out of the Section Corner Perpetuation Fund that, it's less than ideal to pay it out of that fund, but could it be done? Yes, probably. If we can justify certain equipment or software or whatever, that a percentage of it is going to be used for Section Corner work, we could pay that percentage out of the Section Corner Fund. It's hard to put a, hard number on that, but we would be able to do those things. So any questions for me, I guess?
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything, Jared. So if you were to reduce the budget by 15%, the major change would be a reduction in the drainage board meetings from twice a month to once a month.
Yes.
And the time would change.
Yep.
To 4 as opposed to after hours.
Right now, it's at 4:30.
Right now, it's at 4.
It's going to change it by half an hour. It's
Okay.
not a big deal.
Okay. You'd also be leaning on the perpetuation fund for some miscellaneous costs. Those would be the 3 big changes, or am I missing something?
So the other change, we would eliminate our part-time position. Currently, we have a part-time position that was always kind of budgeted to cover for vacation days off for the deputy. We would eliminate that position altogether. There may be a few days out of the year that somebody would come to the office and I'm at a conference or I'm at a meeting or whatever, and my deputy would have to be off. There may be a few times a year that somebody would come to the office and the door's going to be closed and it's going to say, we're not here today. That could happen. Is it going to be weekly? No. Is it going to be a few days a year that could happen? It could. Normally, we can schedule our time that, hey, I'm going to a meeting this day. They need a day off, but, people get sick, kids get sick, things happen.
Right now, you do have that part-time position filled.
I do not.
You don't.
I do not, no.
So in our conversation.
My previous deputy, being there for 20-plus years, had the maximum vacation, had all of those things. Current deputy does not have all those. So is the part-time needed nearly as much now as it was 6 months ago? Not as much. It was good that I had a part-time person that was willing to work when Diana retired, that I was able to lean on her to kind of keep us going until I found a new person. So that was good. But going forward, if we need to eliminate that position, we could.
So those.
Or we could substantially reduce it.
Yeah, so just to sum up, 1 meeting a month takes place at 4 PM.
Right.
You'd lean on the perpetuation fund for some miscellaneous costs, and you'd eliminate a part-time position.
Yeah. And then there was one other thing that I was going to mention. Forgot it now. I'll think of it later. Yeah, that would essentially be the biggest cuts. It would still allow us to keep a full-time person in the office, which that was kind of my goal, was to try to keep that.
Any other questions for Jared? Thank you, Jared, for going through the exercise.
Yeah, thank you.
The uncertainty of what's going to happen going forward, I know for next year we should be in good shape, but appreciate the effort, and if we have to make cuts, where do we do it?
I guess, and if you have, I know you have to make cuts this year. I've read the paper, I've seen that. I guess if there are cuts that need to be made, I guess can get a hold of me.
Yes.
And there's probably a ranking of like, hey, this is the one that would hurt the least. I guess get a hold of me before, oh, well, he hasn't spent his AutoCAD maintenance fee yet. Well, it's because it's due at the end of the year. you know, it doesn't mean that it can be cut. It just, I haven't spent it yet, so.
That was a whole exercise of having the department heads go through their budgets.
Sure.
Because instead of us doing it, we probably would cover you would want to.
Sure. And even on those cuts, I mean, there's kind of a ranking of like, well, this is the least painful. If you only need to cut 3% or 5% or whatever, I guess I would rather say, hey, this is where that should happen. That would be the least painful. So, at some point, and I think Nate and those guys left, Nate and I have been discussing like some of their bridge projects. Just recently, I did some survey work for a bridge project that they were doing, or that they're trying to apply for community crossings for that bridge. There may be a time, and it's probably going to be sooner than later, and maybe it's something to talk about if there's additional funds this year. The AutoCAD software that I use, it's the 2017 version. It's almost 10 years old. Today, you can't buy a version of AutoCAD. You buy a subscription to it. And so it's an ongoing every year type thing. When I bought that 2017 version, that was the last year that you could actually buy a seat of AutoCAD and not have to pay that subscription fee. It really needs to be updated at some point. More and more, I have developers that send me plans that are in CAD, and I can't open them because they're in the newest version. I have to call them back, tell them, hey, save it back to a version that I can't open. Some of the line work, some of the things that are in the newer version, then I can't see. So we're going to have to update some of those things. The survey equipment, maybe it needs to be updated at some point. You know, I've tried to update as I can, but some of that stuff just gets really expensive. And there might be some better technology out there that would save a lot of time that both I could use, Highway could use, that we could use together. And it may save money for mainly on the design end of some of those bridge projects, small bridge projects. If you're doing a bridge over the river, you're going to be hiring a consultant to do all that anyway, but some of the smaller ones.
Can you use money out of the perpetuation fund to pay for some of that?
We could use some if it's going to be used for section corner work also. So Allen County just recently, they purchased a drone that can do LiDAR. They're going to use it a lot on ditches, but they're also going to use it whenever they do section corner to take, you know, an aerial photo when they have everything dug up and you can see everything. They're going to use it. So they were able to pay for part of that out of their section corner fund. But we could do the same thing. That if we're going to use it 25% of the time for that, we could pay for 25% pretty easily and not get in trouble with State Board of Accounts of using it for something it wasn't intended for. So.
Thanks a lot, Jared.
Yeah, thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Jared.
Sahara, you're up next. Good morning.
Good morning.
So you want to just start, run through some of the highlights of your budget, if there's anything that stands out, or?
Yeah, so I guess we can start with the 1159. Our basic budget just did myself and Ryan's salary out of there, our health board, insurance, social security benefits. That's it for that one. For my 15% reduction, the only place I could really reduce it without going into salaries was our group health insurance, and that's we would have to reappropriate from one of our other existing funds to finish covering out next year's insurance.
So the group health insurance on 1159 is up by $10,000.
Yes, so we went from, I think we just had 2 full-time employees to 3 full-time employees this year, so we've already kind of, I think this year we're already at like 50,000 that we've spent.
I wondered if you added someone.
And then for for the next one, the 1161, our Health First Fund. So we're getting the same amount next year that we did this year, 149,000 from the state, then your guys' contribution would be 36,000. So I tried to keep it as close to that as I could. So from here, I just have Lynn and Jody, our food inspector, their salaries coming out of here. We do have a part-time, it's listed on here as medical assistant, but the health board did vote earlier this year to change that to just a part-time clerical worker, and we did hire somebody. So that would go from 30,000, probably down closer to 20,000 for that employee. And then we have our health officer budgeted out of here, and then just some community events and basic expenses. In budget number 2 with the reduction, that one is minus that part-time assistant. We could get by without doing a part-time assistant, but kind of similar to what like Jared had said, she covers for doctor's appointments, vacations, things like that. There would be times where there wouldn't be somebody in the vital records office upstairs. There would be times where people maybe couldn't get their record the day that they wanted it. It would just be kind of something we would have to deal with. And then for the next 2 budgets, so these are the ones that the state is no longer putting money into. These went away whenever we started doing Health First. So we're just kind of spending these down with what's left there. And next year will probably be the last year that we have money in both of these. So for the trust account, the 1206, I just have our part-time nursing staff budgeted out of there. Then just some general office supplies, continuing education, staff development. Budget number 2 for this one, to get that 15% reduction, I estimated, currently our part-time staff is at 28 hours a week. If we cut her back down to 25 hours a week, we could reduce the budget slightly there, but again, that is money that we already kind of have just sitting there. Ideally, not to have to cut her hours, because it would be this kind of similar thing, except for it would be on the nursing side. There would be times where you couldn't get appointments or come in and get your records if you need them. And then for our last account, the 1168 health maintenance account, I just mainly budgeted all of our clinic supplies out of there, so vaccines, the electronic medical record software, and then office supplies, sharps disposal.
So 1168 and 1206 are going to be defunct.
Yeah. Next year will probably be, they're budgeted basically with what is left in them for next year. Yeah, there might be a little bit carryover in 28, but not much.
Any other questions for Sahar?
I do have another question. So in 1161 and 1159, I'm gonna make sure I'm reading this correctly. We've got the environmental sanitarian, that's line 10,213. That's budgeted at 39,983. Over here, it's budgeted in 1159, it's at 62,738.
That one, that one is for Ryan, and then the other one is Jody, our food inspector.
Okay. So 2 different employees.
2 different employees, yeah.
Got it. So there are, we have the, you're the deputy admin in this? Okay, so food inspector, environmental sanitarian,
Septics,
Yeah, septic, food,
and then
you,
nursing.
and then nurse. Okay,
Yeah,
four
full-time
full-time,
employees,
okay.
Yep, and then 2 part-time.
And both part-time are filled? Okay.
Yes.
I think there might be a different account number for food sanitarian. We might want to change that.
Okay.
Any other questions for Sahar? Well, thank you for coming in and presenting your budget.
Thank you.
Rena, if you want to go ahead and come on up. We'll let you jump over Laura since she's not here yet.
Tell me what she's supposed to do. 9:10.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay. This year, when I submitted our budget, you will notice that I turned in to council a breakdown of how the money that the recorder's office takes for our recordings, how it's broke down, and how much county general gets of each one, and how much the recorder's office retains, and what funds they go into. I also did a report of collections from December 1st of 2024, when I came back, to May, the end of May, just to give you an idea of how much money the recorder's office contributes to county general. And even though our recorder's perpetuation fund is unappropriated, I did put that on there because I want council to see how much money the recorder's office uses out of our perpetuation fund to pay for things, because if that fund was not there, we'd be asking council for a lot more on our budget than what we currently do. For salaries, I asked for a 4% raise for my deputy and part-time person. My deputy, with her longevity, would get the other 0.5%. And for our line items, for the budget without the reductions, I did reduce office supplies, and I also reduced our postage. Some of the reduction that I took out of those, I did put into dues and subscriptions. With Recorder's Office willing to pick up the dues for NACO, I contributed that money into that as well. And just to hit on that a little bit, Association of Indiana Counties would like 100% of the Indiana counties to join NACO, because in 2028, the NACO conference will be in Indianapolis. Up until this year, Wells County was one of, I think, 15 counties that was not part of NACO. Around the United States, there's over 3,000 counties that are part of the NACO. I also left my travel and lodging and training and seminars at the same amount as what it was this year. And going into the one where you had asked to cut 15%, with our budget being as low as it is, that 15% would have cut into my salary and my deputy's salary. And neither one of us could handle that personal financial loss. I did, however, do some reworking of line items. I realize if push comes to shove and it needs to be done, I do understand that. But once our perpetuation fund is gone, it's gone. Because there's not as much money going into it as it was during the COVID, during 2020, 21, and 22. And that has to do with the economy and houses selling, land selling, people buying, because our office handles that type of transaction. The line items that I did move, I would be taken out of the perpetuation fund, office supplies, the postage, the travel and lodging and training and seminars, I did leave on the budget, being that that is a state requirement. I left that on there for the budget. The dues and subscriptions would come out of perpetuation, along with the part-time person's salary, which is what we currently do with that. And I had no increase for the Security Protection Fund, which is appropriated, but only the Recorder's Office can use it for our redaction. As of today, we have indexed over 10,000 documents from our back indexing. In 1 year, on a good year, we record 5,000 documents. So along with everything we've recorded this year, our back indexing, we've recorded over 10,000 documents, which takes us back to, we're almost at 30 years of documents back indexed and online.
So Rena, real quick, if I'm looking at the statement for the perpetuation fund. It looks like at the end of the year balance was 275. We're adding 80 of revenue to it. And you're only spending 25,941. So that's really not in jeopardy of running out.
Well,
Still,
yes, yes, because,
You're up to 329, which is, you know what I mean? So I'm trying, when you say running out.
right, as of this morning, the balance in the perpetuation fund is 185,602. The reason for that is all of our back indexing, I just paid over a $30,000 bill to our scanning company, and we'll have more money going out to our software vendor when they dump that scanning in. As of right now, every book, every piece of microfilm back to the 1800s has been scanned and imaged. So that's what the perpetuation fund has also been used for, to maintain and digitize for disaster recovery. Because if we have another COVID or another pandemic or something, we have to make available to the title searchers documents online, and that's the only way.
Should there be an expense line item each year for what you think is going to be spent out of that?
No, because it's unappropriated. It's unappropriated.
So you've got kind of a budget on here, but it's not really,
Yes,
you still have discretion to use it outside of what this budget is you're presenting.
Correct.
If things come up.
correct.
Okay, that's helpful, because when I see a budget here, I'm thinking, oh, that's what's going to get
Yeah,
followed.
no. And most, to be very honest with you, most recorders do not even talk about their perpetuation fund to council. Because there have been councils around the state that have misused it. But I wanted to be transparent in what the office does. And like I said, when that money's gone, I mean, we're only putting in between 5,000 and 7,000 depending on the month in it now, where in the in 2020, 21, 22, it was 13,000, 14,000 because of the recordings and revenue. So when it's gone, yeah, it pays for our software vendor, our contracts, any equipment that goes down. We had our big Bookeye scanner go down. We had to have somebody from Tennessee come up and repair it, and it was a $2,500 bill, which came out of that fund. So like, it's used very wisely, because like I said, when it's gone, and we'd have to come to council for more money for our budget.
But your clerical assistant there, that comes out of this budget.
That comes out, it comes out of
Are
perpetuation.
you saying that now almost everything has been scanned up to date?
Everything has been scanned, and we are indexing it, and that's what our part-time person does.
Okay, so is there possibly, a future that you see that you don't need that clerical person?
Right now, we are only indexed back to November of 1997. So we've got to go back all the way to 1837. And with her being part-time, and she also handles a lot of the recordings that do come in, I'm doing the proofreading of the back indexing. Ann is also back indexing in our downtime as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, we've got, like I said, back to 1837 to index.
Thank you.
So,
I appreciate you going through the cuts as well.
okay.
Pam, do you want to go ahead and come on up?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Pam.
Good morning.
Yes, want to just kind of run through your budget with us?
Okay, sure. So my overall ask is $5,721 more than last year. I don't know if you guys are aware, but I have 2 brand-new deputies this year. Training, it's not really challenging, but it's very in-depth. Not that it's been a struggle, but it is very important to have people who know what they're doing and have a concept of numbers and putting things where they're supposed to go. I mean, we're keeping track of a lot of money. So it is very important to me to have somebody who I can rely on, who's honest, and be able to retain these people. So I did ask for an increase for their wages. They're at the bottom of the longevity scale, obviously. It doesn't really amount to that much per week, more than I asked for last year, but it amounts to about $53 a week increase before taxes. It's just important to me to be able to keep these people. We work for the government, so we know that anybody could go get a job in a factory and make a lot more money, but so far, so good on these people who are reliable right now. I do have some places that I did cut, like in postage. We aren't sending out those $0 bills, so that cut our postage by a lot. If we would, well, we're gonna try and utilize emails wherever possible. I do have some places where I would cut if we had to. I didn't really increase much other than, cost of lodging and everything that usually goes up for training and everything. But I do have a list of places that I would cut if we have to. And that would be in the office supplies, in the copy machine, and computers. I mean, Roger has said that they're getting more expensive, but repairs are probably what we'll have to do in the future right now. So hopefully we'll have enough for that. And maybe cutting postage again. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm actually thinking about changing our printer of the bills. So I don't even know if that's going to help save. I'm hoping it is, but there's a lot of aspects to that. So basically it's kind of the same as last year, a little bit more. Overall, it's 3.45% more than last year. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
Council, you have any questions for Pam? All right, well, thank you.
Hey, thanks for getting me in early.
Thanks, Ben.